So let's head back on up. And at this point, now we can truthfully say that we have purchased all the stuff that we are looking to purchase, at least right now. We are, of course, not quite able to afford one of the, or two of the big weapons that we really want to get, but maybe after we do this mission right here, Citadel Shore Leave, that might become possible. Again, this was originally the Citadel DLC, and Mass Effect Legendary Edition, of course, has been rolled into the base game. And it does become available possibly as early as, what? Might have been after Tuchanka? But we obviously are choosing to do it very late because in many ways it is the unofficial but sort of ceremonial end to the entire trilogy. So now we head over, and rather than going to the Alliance docks, we go personal apartment. We've seen it many times here before, but this is the place where you go to initiate the mission.
Commander, I've got Admiral Anderson on the QEC. Patching him through to you now.
Shepard.
Admiral, how are you holding up?
Day by day, Commander.
Yeah. Hackett sent me a message about this apartment.
I want you to have it. Take it
That's
off my hands.
very nice.
Are you serious?
You need a place that's yours. Somewhere to recharge, clear your head. Kaylee wanted us to settle down there. Thing is, the longer I'm on Earth, the less I want to leave. And I want as few loose ends out there as possible. Like I said, you'd be doing me a favor.
Seems like a pretty nice place you got here. Thank you. I'm actually kind of surprised that I can't accept that as the bottom and therefore technically kind of sort of renegade option, because that's kind of the more polite. I don't know. Both of them, I guess, are sort of the polite way to go about it.
That's very generous.
It's practical. We need you in the best shape possible. Rested. Focused.
If you say so. Thank you.
And make yourself at home, damn it. It's yours now.
I'm sure I can manage.
Okay, good. Been meaning to do that for a while. I'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Be careful out there, Anderson.
You too, Shepard.
All right. And now we have ourselves this whole apartment to explore. Notes from Anderson, biography, relationships. What? Lots of things for us to check out here, it seems. We have, oh, maybe we can't go through the couches there, but notes for Anderson, biography, Normandy.
Received a new message.
Messages over there. I mean, yeah, sure, but first let's read up a bit.
You never asked me about this, but my wife just called. My ex-wife. Nobody likes to talk about the toll that long months apart can have on military relationships. She wasn't military. She couldn't handle it. But it's not even about military and non-military, damn it. It's space flight. Space flight. Finding the mass relays, miracles of engineering. Human imagination rising to meet our desires. We pay a price for that curiosity, that drive. Our relationships suffer. People we love suffer. But that's reality. And it's worth the cost. I must have thought it was. I guess I still do. In the end, you just have to hope you made the right choices.
So some deep insights there from Anderson, very personal, and in some ways you could say some similarities, some of the same thoughts that Shepard could theoretically be having as well.
The Normandy? A brand new ship. My ship. You don't forget that moment. The first time you're standing there. The whole crew looking to you for direction. Unforgettable. I'd led men and women before that. Seen a lot of combat already. Always managed to find my way home in one piece. Do that a few times, you begin to think you know better than the next guy. Maybe you do, I don't know. But if you're lucky, really lucky, you find yourself on a good ship, in front of a good crew. A crew crew you can trust with your life. Gifted. Disciplined. Brave. All of them. Eager to set sail into the endless black ocean. I still remember my XO asking what my orders were. Shepard, I said. Let's see what we can find.
Oh, well, yeah. Once again, quite applicable to both Shepard as well. And, XO, the second in command at the time, was us. Stereo control? Okay, well, I mean, obviously there are all these notes or video logs that we can listen to, but also there's just the apartment as a whole. I mean, we're not looking to leave right now, but so we have this sleek piano over here. Windows opening up to what appears to be the skyway over there. Dramatic lighting as well. Couch. Swivel chair. Fireplace that is, yes, is burning. Is active. Hold on. That just turned it off altogether? Might just turn it off altogether. I thought it was going to switch to a different song, but... More lounging, living room-like areas here. A bar as well. Biography about N7.
Embarrassing moments? I've got more of those than anyone will ever know. Only way to learn something. But if I had to pick one to share... I had just gotten promoted to N7. Full of myself. King of the castle. Found myself buying drinks for undesirables in some rundown bar in the wards. They toasted my recent promotion.
Chorus Dan?
Well, they would have toasted Batarian slavers if it had got them more drinks. About the time my money ran out, my new friends turned on me. I was outnumbered. Things didn't look good. My plan to get out of there involved lots of punching. Well, that worked for a while. Then a table hit me. Or I fell down. When I came to, I saw a Solarian putting the rest of the troublemakers down. A Solarian? Moved like a damn cat, I swear. When everybody was out cold. Or running. He walked over and helped me up. N7, he asked. Yes, sir, I replied. He looked over my collection of unconscious friends, nodding. Not bad, human, he said. Then he walked away. I had met my first Spectre. Learned an important lesson that day. No matter how good you think you are, there's always somebody quicker, faster, and a hell of a lot smarter than you just around the corner. That little lesson's kept me alive more than once since then.
Good rules to live by, for sure. And, yeah, so, I mean, it does appear as though Anderson is getting interviewed for some kind of biography is sort of the context for all these. And for a second there, you wondered if, I mean, that sounded like a very Morden-like situation, but Morden, although STG at one point was not a Spectre at any point in time, theoretically could be John Bao, who was the Solarian Spectre that we met previously, but, I don't know, timing-wise, that may not have made all that much sense. Yes, we do the message that we can read, but I would like to, I think, check out all these biography notes first.
Okay. I have your new questions here. As a leader, do I ever feel that the end justifies the means? Spirit of law over word of law. I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole, but I think I know what you're after. You're referring to the way I, arranged to have the Normandy released to Commander Shepard before the Battle of the Citadel. I'm not sure how valuable hindsight is to the military. Obviously, it worked out for the best. Without the Normandy and Commander Shepard free to do what they needed to do, what we needed them to do, Saren might have taken the Citadel. I think it's clear what a different galaxy this would be if that had happened. I did what I had to. If I had been wrong, I would have gladly accepted the repercussions. The real trick is never being wrong.
If only it were that simple.
If you're looking for more action and less philosophy in these notes, let me know.
And this appears to be some kind of bedroom as well, with a punching bag And, shower door, or pillows and whatnot, and pull-up bar. It's like a yoga room or something like that. That's another stereo control, okay. Sort of looks like a pool table. Excuse me, billiards, lids, billiards. Except there's a model Normandy there. Here is the kitchen. And notes about Shepard. Oh, well, this is awkward.
Sure, I can talk about Commander Shepard. Big topic. There's been a lot written about the Commander, but most of it isn't true. People are quick to judge. They don't know the whole story. I don't even know the whole story. But I know the man. Worked with him. Fought with him. Trust him with my life. Shepard's had some rough patches. Who of us hasn't? He's been forced to fight a lot of battles alone. God only knows how he got out of some of that. Makes your head spin. Thing is, you never heard a complaint. Never once got, no sir, I can't do that. He never hesitated. Few people know what Shepard's been through. I'd like to think I come pretty close. And I worry sometimes he forgets. There's a whole bunch of people who lose sleep over him getting back home. Maybe it doesn't need to be said. Maybe we're too dumb to say it. Soldiers like the Commander are rare. Men like Shepard, even more rare.
Lofty praise coming from Anderson, and further just reinforces that whole... I mean, he's really just a father figure for Shepard in so many ways, right? Don't think we never really meet nor even hear of Shepard's father. And so in many ways, Anderson kind of just steps in and fills that role. Here's some kind of study area with all the books. Table here, and interview. Oh no, it's Khaleesi Al-Jilani.
David Anderson. He was kind enough to answer my questions and talk about his career. Today the Admiral is on Earth, leading the defense of our home against the Reapers. We have no communication with him or any soldiers on Earth, but we can't forget what they're doing for us. Tonight's show is dedicated to all of the soldiers out there, fighting and dying to keep us safe. Admiral Anderson, today marks the 30th anniversary of the N7 program. Can you describe your first day of training in this now famous program?
The Interplanetary Combatives training program is all business from day one.
How so?
We're given basic gear, then separated and stranded on an asteroid with no nav data. The test ends when the last person runs out of oxygen.
That's extreme.
What happens to the ones who run out of air first?
Out of the program. The best N7s can survive alone, but work together to survive even longer.
That's very impressive, Admiral. Deep space survival training. That has to be so difficult. All of it would take such strength of character. Well, just plain strength. But then you seem like a strong person.
Slow down, Khaleesi.
Question in there?
Well, does the program make the man, or do you think you were born for this?
It's a bit of both, I suppose. Every soldier reaches a point in their career, sometimes more than once, when they are asked to give more than they ever thought they could. That moment is the test. I've seen men and women, almost sure to fail, persevere long past the point of breaking. That experience changes them. Others, with all the gifts and abilities, fail in that moment. Sometimes they pick themselves up and carry on. Sometimes they're just done.
What about you? What was your moment?
I've had a few, none of which I'd like to share. But I think the toughest tests are still ahead of me.
What makes you say that?
Call it a hunch.
Soldier's intuition?
Something like that.
Do you trust your intuition? I mean, do you follow your heart over your mind?
experienced veteran is going to find themselves in situations they haven't trained for. In those instances, and there's more than I'd like to admit, your instincts are the only thing keeping you alive. That, and the men and women you're fighting beside.
But soldiers are only as good as their leader, isn't that true?
Yeah. A good leader can make an okay squad great. A bad leader, well, war tends to make examples of them.
What makes a good leader then?
A good leader is someone who values the life of his men over the success of the mission, but understands that sometimes the cost of failing a mission is higher than the cost of losing those men.
That's a terrible line to have to walk.
Yes, it is. But war is a terrible thing.
Thank you for your time, Admiral.
Thank you.
The remainder of this interview was to take a more personal look at Admiral Anderson's life. It wasn't finished when the Reapers invaded. We can only hope that the Admiral and the soldiers under his command survive to tell us the rest of their stories. I'm Kalisa Al-Jalani. Thank you for watching.
Wow. Quite the story from Anderson. And remember, Kalisa Al-Jalani is the one that was quite the aggressive reporter, one that we may or may not have considered throwing a punch or two at once or twice in the past. But, yeah, again, a lot of insight on Anderson's background. And your D&D character is also trying to become an N7, and, I mean, that... If you're going through that training program, that sounds crazy. I mean, they say the last one with oxygen is the one that advances, and that, in theory, they do better if they work together, but does that mean that, even if you are working together, does that mean that everyone who's working together gets to win collectively, or is it still, at the end of the day, well, see, Kalisa and I, we've been teaming up and all, but either it's me or it's her, and, well, see, it's not gonna be her, so I guess that means... like, leads to some very awkward situations. Like, does everyone else die when they run out of oxygen? Or do they send someone out there to, pick you up and rescue you when you're about to go down? I mean, if they're sending out 10 people onto these abandoned asteroids and only one of them comes back and becomes an N7, then you're losing a whole lot of soldiers there. So that just feels like, alright, I mean, I get the point. Trying to force people to prove themselves, yes, but at what cost? Right? I mean, I was kind of hoping that it would be a little clearer. Are they actually letting those people die? Or do they come in at some point and save them? Because they didn't really specify what happened to those people. They just said, only the last one standing becomes N7. Does that mean everyone else dies? Or do they just get rescued, hopefully, after probably some extensive time in the hospital? Hopefully they still recover and can go back to maybe not being an N7, but returning to their job as a soldier. But that's it's quite extreme. Quite extreme.
No, it's fine. I got a few minutes. First contact war? Yeah. I was there. My first real combat. First for a lot of us. I remember one night early in the war, strapped to my seat as our transport approached the LZ. Everyone was dead silent. Just the sound of breathing. Good men. I trained with all of them. We were always joking and horsing around, but not this time. Just the rattle of the shuttle. And that heavy breathing. Everyone was thinking the same thing. We're off to fight alien invaders. Aliens. Think about that. We all grew up wondering what was out there. If we were alone in the universe. Now we knew. We weren't alone. And we were in trouble. So there we were. About to face an enemy as different and unknown as we could imagine. I knew I had to say something, keep the men relaxed. So I turned to the soldier beside me, Hendricks, I think, and asked him how his mother was doing. Fine, he said. Why? Because I heard your mom was so ugly the Marines thought she was a Turian. Almost died. I got a few smiles. Then Hendricks turned to me and said, Hell, Anderson, I heard it was a picture of your mama that stopped shitless. Everyone had a good laugh at that. And the boys fought great that night. Sometimes that's all it takes. A joke, a pat on the back. Just a little reminder that everything's gonna be okay.
All right. So that's the first contact war. This is the private terminal where I believe we're getting all these pings on from the message, but what is this catalog? Not sure if we can really do anything here right now. Oh, I take it back. Oh, customize the bathroom, customize the bedding, customize the kitchen, the seating, the tables, the wall decorations. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, Mass Effect officially an interior decoration game. Confirmed. The bathroom. Okay, maybe we don't have options other than the standard stuff here available to us. So perhaps that will just have to. Oh wait, hold on. Did we actually have options for wall decorations? We do? I guess we'll take that. Which is right there, I think. So I actually don't know how you unlock those. Maybe it's from later on in the Citadel DLC, because obviously we're still very early days in that. But in that case, I don't know why we would have one unlocked already. Let's head upstairs, because yes, there is an upstairs. We have this. Ooh, I like the lights. And the greenery as well. The lounge area. Notes for Anderson on the Turian experience. That's one way to describe it, especially coming off of the previous entry on the First Contact War.
The Turians? Well, I might not always see eye to eye with the politics and the individual, but I have a great respect for the Turian military. Any Alliance soldier lucky enough to take part in their training programs will certainly be better for it. Their precision, skill, and discipline come together in a way that's second to none. Not that I'm faulting our own people or training. It's just that after fighting Turians in the First Contact War, years later, I had the opportunity to observe and train on Palaven. It was a turning point for me. And I would encourage any soldier to try it. It's a unique experience to put yourself in the squad of a Turian commander. My commander was an uncompromising bastard named Bartix Oryx. If you can find him, just ask how the platoon I commanded was trounced in his strategy game.
Ooh, ouch.
But I've used what I learned that day many times. The xenophobes will have their say. But I think it's vital that we do more of this kind of cross-species training. There you go. And if you do find General Oryx, let me know. I owe him money.
Oh. Anderson. Hope he's not collecting interest on that, because it sounds like you may have been owing that for quite some time. Like, yes, you see, at the time, that was just a 5 credit fee, but see, now, 25 years later, at 20%, 20% annual, fee, that means that, now it is accrued up to the point where you now owe me approximately 3 million credits. Oh, come on, man. Nah. Well, childhood this time.
Okay. So, tombstone data. Admiral David Edward Anderson. Not sure why anybody would be interested, but thanks for asking. I was born in London, June 8th, 2137.
Ooh, how old does that make him? About
Three children born to
a little less than
Paul
50?
Anderson, a nurse and a flight mechanic, respectively. But that's a little dry. Someone's gonna spice this up, right? Never been much for the spotlight. Anyway, where was I? It was a second marriage for my parents. They were almost 50 by the time they had me. My mother worked shifts, so my father would often take me to the base. While he worked, I watched transport ships and fighters take off. Worked his whole life around space travel, my father. But he never
Kaylee. Is it Kaylee Sanders who's been recording all this stuff, perhaps? Kind of sounds like it. Another stereo control up here. But this is a real balcony over here. Looking out over that really entire section downstairs, or besides the back area with the study and whatnot, but you have some modern art. I don't know, is it still modern if it's technically in the future? Some future art on the walls over here. And also some future sculptures here. So yeah, you know, it's overall, that's definitely the aesthetic. Quite a modern, really, Lids, it would qualify as postmodern since it's in the future. All right, fair enough. You're right, maybe. Ooh. Another bedroom, maybe this might be the host's bedroom and the one downstairs, perhaps the guest room? I don't know, man. I don't know. But this is about the Normandy SR1, the original Normandy, the one that Anderson gave to us. Then, of course, remember that Cerberus redid it in Mass Effect 2 to the SR2, and then it got reworked, kind of, sort of, again in Mass Effect 3.
You asked me to talk about the SSV Normandy, the Normandy SR1. As commander of the Tokyo, I was consulted on the Normandy's design, and on board for her initial training exercises. The average person probably doesn't know that the Normandy was a joint project with the Taurians. Acting CO, Eli Xander, was no diplomat. She ran out of patience with Taurian posturing and politicking during construction. The chief architect of the Drive Corps, Octavio Tatum, and his team of Taurian engineers were in the CIC for final training exercises. Tempers flared when Xander pushed the limits of the stealth system, waiting to vent the IES well past what Tatum was comfortable with. I tried to calm the situation, but it still ended with the Taurian scientist in shackles and a human Taurian fistfight at Korra's den later. Funny now, when I first laid eyes on the Normandy, she was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. Day after that training run, Admiral Wright found me on the bridge. She's yours, he said. Can't trust her to Xander. Send me a list of crew from the Tokyo you'd like, and prep for your first mission. Short command thanks to Saren. Still, one of the highlights of a long career.
And that's very interesting because, of course, the Normandy was, and still is to this day, one of, if not the most significant ships in the entire Alliance fleet because it's unique with all of its, in particular, its stealth drive core, I believe, is the thing that makes it most unusual, and that it had some experimental stealth technology, and that is what they were trying to test there. So Anderson was involved in that, and somewhat, not the most, you know, not like the chief engineer or anything like that, but it was at least perhaps more of an advisor. And so, surprisingly to him, was the one who got the ship after it was done getting made. So that is kind of cool that it was not a foregone conclusion that it was going to be his ship to command. That bathroom over here, is this the only bathroom in this entire apartment? The shower, toilet, sink. I mean, was there one downstairs? I feel like there might not have even been one downstairs, which is a little bit concerning. A little bit concerning, not gonna lie. Oh, another bedroom over here. Okay, now this has to be... This is the host room. Because this is like the master bedroom here, right? You have beds perhaps the same size, but lots of open space here. Got the master bathroom. For some reason you have a... I thought this was going to be a shower because it had this little wall over here, but no, it's a wall for your toilet. Double sink and jacuzzi. Hot tub over there. Clearly we are claiming this one. Oh. Armor locker and weapon bench as well. We did, of course, recently pick up a few weapons from the Citadel. Those being the Aegis, which is actually the... Oh, in multiplayer, it's the one all the way to the right. I'm actually surprised it's not all the way to the right here. Named in memory of the Quarians killed in the Morning War on the planet Aegis. Morning War was the initial Quarian-Geth War. This weapon's electrical attack has been optimized for medium to long-range firefights. Alliance Marines take issue with calling it a rifle, since, technically, it has no rifling in its barrel. The Quarians shrug this off, as Quarian weapon terminology rarely translates flawlessly into human languages. So it is a Quarian weapon, and perhaps that is significant because, as a Quarian weapon, you would assume perhaps it was designed to counter Geth, and that is probably the best enemy to use this against. And so, as we were saying before, we didn't pick it up initially because it, at least in multiplayer, is a bit of a niche weapon, not generally considered to be one of the more powerful assault rifles, but does do extra damage to shields, I believe, which tends to be the defense that Geth have a lot of, so works well against Geth. Also has a higher chance to stun, which is really nice against Geth as well. So, makes sense coming from the Quarians. And again, I believe has a much higher rate of fire in single player than it does in multiplayer. So even if in multiplayer you're saying, lids, it's not very good, why would I bother picking it up? It may still be worth checking it out in single player. Striker we also picked up. Oh, do they just show up in the order that you acquire them here in single player? Perhaps that is the case. Is that though? Because yeah, the ATIS for whatever reason is all the way to the right in multiplayer. But anyways, that's totally an aside. But yeah, Striker Rifle is the one that shoots explosive rounds. Automatic assault rifle that shoots explosive rounds. So this is great for staggering, especially if you have any ways to increase your rate of fire. So the Striker is a fully automatic weapon that functions more as a grenade launcher than a rifle, firing high-impact slugs that detonate on contact. The weapon increases its rate of fire the longer the trigger is held. Also that, so you do want to be firing it for an extended period of time, so if you can find ways to increase the amount of shots that you have in a clip, that's also useful. Which is devastating if the weapon can be kept on target. Exactly. Oh, yeah, it does have some reasonable kick as well. So things like the stability mod could potentially be worth using. In multiplayer, there are other ways to increase the weapon stability, at least with some characters. So that's one of the workarounds as well. But obviously, we haven't used this at all in single player, so I haven't really given much thought to the best use cases for it then. In an attempt to market the Striker outside of the Krogan DMZ, or was it originally a Krogan-designed weapon? I didn't realize that. The gun was designed to be fired by non-Krogan, or at least is a modified version of what was originally a Krogan weapon, but its recoil tends to off-balance smaller species. Yeah, it does have a fairly significant amount of recoil, especially if you don't do anything to increase the stability. Enthusiasts point out that the target on the receiving end of a Striker has far worse things to worry about than its shooter's balance. Yeah, because it causes explosions. Yeah, Typhoon's all the way to the right. That's an aside, but anyways. So those are the new assault rifles. Then we also picked up, what was it here? Oh, it's the Rieger, wherever it's hiding. There you are. This electrical weapon improves upon the arc pistol's design by generating a sustained current on its target. This weapon is named for the Quarian Rieger family, like Cal Rieger, who we, of course, met, and unfortunately, we learned he met his end, but not after putting up a serious fight against the Reapers, whose Marines have served valiantly against the Geth initially. And so this is another Quarian-designed weapon, and the lack of fire rate and accuracy bar here, don't be alarmed by that. I am surprised to see that, because I think that might be a bug. I don't think that's supposed to happen. It is a very short-range shotgun that almost functions more like an assault rifle, because it shoots very quickly in what is sort of like an electric burst. It's almost like an electric flamethrower in that way. So, very high rate of fire, very solid damage in that close range, but there's really no way to increase the range of it, so it is somewhat of a limited weapon in that regard, but in particular, there is a bug when you use this weapon with, it might be any fire damage over time, or any damage over time effect at all. Certainly incendiary ammo is the most common thing to pair up with it. Will functionally double, or at least significantly, I mean really significantly, increase the damage of it. And similarly, warp, or I might be mixing that up with warp. Incendiary also has a bug, so I might be kind of conflating those two things. But generally speaking, totally ridiculously strong weapon when combined with incendiary ammo, especially against shields is the specialty for it. Just absolutely annihilates shields. And Obviously, with incendiary ammo, which tends to be good against armor, that helps, although armor is probably the thing that it's worst against. And the close range is the biggest downside of it, and the fact that it does chew through ammo very quickly. But by some accounts, could make a strong case for it being the strongest weapon in the game. That is, for many reasons, or in many ways, the reason why some people are not the biggest fan of it, because it just feels like you're cheesing the game. It's just too easy, especially because some of its strength comes from the fact that it is bugged when it is combined with incendiary ammo, dealing way more damage than it's supposed to deal. Then, is that it? I think that is it for shotguns. Okay, so that's all the new weapons. And this could be a place to set yourself up if, you know, you've been messing around with equipment and what have you before taking on the rest of the Citadel mission. But I think we may have now thoroughly explored the apartment in its entirety. And I hope also listen to all of those logs from Anderson as well. Is this anything? I don't think so. Also just a little, almost like a gardenish area beneath the staircase. But anyways, now I think it is time to finally answer the call here. What is the deal? Who's paging us at our private terminal? Okay, so, well, it's actually just like the private terminal on the Normandy, at the CIC, and in the captain's cabin. But this one was giving us the little alarm as well. Dinner at sushi place on me. Hey, Shepard, I've got a few things I wanted to go over with you. The Normandy in dry dock, I figured we could meet up at the Ryusei sushi place down in the wards. I hear it's the best. Joker. Alright, Joker wants to grab sushi. Sure. Why not, I guess? Okay, so that updates our quest here. Let's take a look. So Joker has sent an invitation for lunch at the Ryusei sushi bar on the Citadel. Meet him there. So, of course, initially this was all about taking some shore leave, getting a bit of a rest so that we are at 100% going into our fight against Reapers, and thematically, of course, it makes some sense to do this near the end of the campaign when you've hopefully accomplished a fair bit and have some reason to celebrate that a bit with some shore leave. And also because there's, as we were saying before, there are some other reasons we'll talk about later on, but we'll avoid the spoilers for now. Traveling in style. VIP access. Don't hate the player. Just hate the game.
Shepard, your table is ready.
Alright, so here we are at the sushi bar. And, before we join Joker here, let's just check this place out a bit. Quite interesting how, we are apparently in a fish tank. Just casually have fish swimming around here. This story is fascinated. But it just flaps its fins and it just keeps going. That's amazing.